to Issues with Cartoons, the show about comics and cartoons. My name is Kyle Windle.
My name is Carl Lucas.
And we are here with you to discuss Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, Season 2, Episode 4. We're in Episode 4 of this season.
Episode 4.
If you are new to the show, welcome. This is not our normal format. You normally don't see Carl or me, but today you get to see both of us. Lucky you. And
But
lucky us.
Now we have outstanding audio quality.
Yes, and adequate video quality.
That's right. That's right. We're all about quality here at Issues with Cartoons.
Right. Issues with Cartoons, where quality matters.
That's a new slogan.
Put that on the thumbnail. All right, so this is Welcome to the Kree Empire, a sort of spiritual sequel to episodes. I don't remember the number, but I remember the title was 459. It was the Kree Century episode.
Yeah.
This is sort of the follow-up to that from last season, building on all of the Secret Invasion subplot, building on the Kree Empire kind of dangling plot thread from last season. We have some new characters show up. We have some old characters returning, and then we have our regular cast in the middle of it. Carl,
Yes.
I want to talk to you specifically about the opening, because we first arrive on Damocles Base, which longtime listeners will know is the headquarters of Kang the Conqueror, who has vacated Damocles in favor of a prison cell in Prison 42.
Yes.
And the dormant Damocles Base has now been occupied by Sword. Carl. Who is Sword, Carl?
Sword shows up in Astonishing X-Men #3 by Josh Whedon and John Cassidy. And they're such a cool concept because Sword is Space Shield.
That's it.
So yeah, you have Abigail Brand, and they all have green uniforms. But something I like this show did was that it introduces Ms.Marvel through Sword. And it's not really like that in the comics, but I think it works really well. Like having her as Space Shield. You know,
I think they've adapted a version of this later where I think Alpha Flight kind of became like the sort of what Sword is in this. And then she runs Alpha Flight for a given run. I don't think that lasted very long, but it was well after this had happened. But I agree. I think it's a really elegant way to bring in all these different kind of extraterrestrial elements. Yeah. Bring back Carol Danvers. Bring in Abigail. I've always loved Abigail Brand. I always thought she was such a cool concept of a character.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I've always, even Astonishing X-Men in general, just huge fan of that run. Like,
longtime listeners will also know that I historically am not an X-Men reader, and you can count on maybe a couple hands the number of X-Men runs I've actually read, or X-related runs. Astonishing X-Men by Whedon and Cassidy is definitely on that short list of books that I read. I still, to this day, I think it's one of the better X-Men runs that I've read. I mean, it was definitely good for a entry-level X-Men reader like me. And had some really cool concepts and characters and stuff in it. And John Cassidy didn't hurt.
One of the coolest things about it is it picked up right after Morrison's arc.
So right.
It was like Grant Morrison already had great writing, and then they just went right into Josh Whedon, and it was
flowed directly into it.
Yeah, and the art was just breathtaking. Like I think people still that's the high bar. Almost.
Early 2000s John Cassidy. There aren't many artists from that era I hold up quite as high, because between that and Planetary and his Captain America run, I mean that dude. I mean, rest in peace, gone too soon. But
definitely
incredible work, especially in that book. So like we said, Abigail Brand and Sword appear. We also get an appearance from Henry Peter Gyrick,
which is also familiar to X-Men fans.
Very familiar to X-Men fans, although Carl, I looked it up. Do you know where he first appeared?
I do not.
Avengers issue 165. Jim Shooter and
Oh,
John Byrne. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
John Byrne character. Yeah, he's a.
yeah,
I'm not.
and a Jim Shooter character, which is wild to me. Um, I think I know which issue this is, or at least I know how Henry Gyrick historically is fit into Avengers lore. It's very
Mm.
similar to X-Men. He's pretty much a stick in the mud, just like he is here, and he's kind of like the overreaching government liaison
I think.
who
Yeah,
meddles in Avengers affairs.
I think most Marvel fans will remember him from the '90s X-Men cartoon.
I think
Like
so.
he's a
I
pretty
think
like
most Marvel
prominent.
fans in general, yeah.
Yeah, like he's like a pretty prominent character in those early episodes. Like I think he's in Night of the Sentinels. I'm pretty sure.
Well, I think you're right. And to your point, so much so that I think most people think of him as an X-Men character, regardless
True.
of where he first appeared. I feel like when people hear Gyrick, they think X-Men. So a little bit of a crossover there, I guess. Which honestly, Carol Danvers is a crossover character between Avengers and X-Men and all that stuff. So I feel like that is
Yeah,
appropriate.
yeah. That's a really interesting point because yeah, Miss Marvel lives in both worlds. She's like she
And
has this Kree canon, and then she has really important ties to like Rogue and the X-Men canon as well.
right. And
Yeah.
we talked a little bit about this back when we were covering Kang, actually. You might not remember this, but we talked about Avengers issue 200, which is where
Oh
um,
yeah, sure.
the
Yeah.
Marcus character, I mean, to put it bluntly, raped Carol to basically give birth to himself. It's a very convoluted storyline. It's very troubling. Jim Shooter was involved. I only bring that up because there's some speculation that the reason that story happened was Dave Michelini was also involved, and Jim Shooter blames Dave Michelini's grudge with Chris Claremont on that
Of
whole
course, we gotta throw
kerfuffle happening.
Claremont under the bus one more
Right,
time.
as Marvel as want to do, but
Yeah.
Chris Claremont, while he didn't create Carol, he didn't start writing the Ms. Marvel title. He took over the Ms. Marvel title
Hmm.
and had a lot of big plans for it. I think even some of the cosmic story stuff that he had, don't quote me on this one, but I think some of the
Yeah.
cosmic storylines he had in mind for Jean Grey, they got cut short when they made him kill her. I think he retrofitted some of that for Ms. Marvel. That could be speculation. All that to say, Ms. Marvel was heavily um, worked on by Chris Claremont, and when that title was canceled, and he saw Carol kind of get screwed over in Avengers, he brought her into X-Men books and wrote her there as binary. So,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and to your point with all the Rogue stuff and Mystique and all that thing. So,
yeah.
um,
And speaking of Mystique, I do want to bring up that Mystique first appears in Miss Marvel.
I'm glad I was actually going to bring that up. I'm glad you did
Yeah,
though, because
yeah.
that's one
It's
of the things that I
sad.
love about it. I mean, again, a character who is undoubtedly an X-Men character debuted in a Ms. Marvel comic of all places.
That's what I
Um,
mean. It has a lot of implications to the X Men line. Not implication, but a lot of impact on the X Men line.
Yeah, and I
Overall.
think points to how intertwined these franchises are and how other media have kind of robbed that interconnectivity from fans in a lot of ways. Like in my mind,
Yeah.
the Captain Marvel sequel should have had Mystique and Rogue in it. I mean, regardless of what they ended up doing, like I feel like
I think
Mystique and Rogue should play into a Captain Marvel movie
I
at
think they
some point.
lost a little something when they made Carol Danvers Captain Marvel straight up. Like when they
Interesting. So let's
jumped
talk
to
about
that.
this.
Yeah, when they just jumped to that immediately because you lose that whole backstory of Miss Marvel and kind of I feel like with the modern run I can't remember her name right now.
Kelly Sue DeConnick.
Yeah, I feel like you lose a little bit of that backstory. It's not as interesting when you just jump to her being Captain Marvel and she's super powered already.
I
Like
don't
you lose.
mind it. I don't mind it. I think they did a fine enough job with it. I mean, you're not wrong that you do lose something, of course, by taking the legacy aspect of it away. And like, I like Marvel, and I like all the other different. Like, I like Monica as Captain Marvel. I like Janice as Captain Marvel. Like, I like all the different iterations of Captain Marvel. So skipping ahead to Carol is a little strange, but I mean, she's also, I think, deserving of it. So we are, of course, referring to Ms. Marvel a lot because Carol is in this heavily. She's kind of like the main lead in this episode. Um,
This is
what?
where her super powered identity appears. She showed
Yes.
up before, but this is like the first time that Miss Marvel proper shows up. So that's a lot of why we're talking about Miss Marvel so much. Yeah,
Yeah, 459, that episode we talked about from last season, ends, if you'll remember, with Carol floating in the air with some superpowers. So
I do remember that.
in between the episodes, obviously, she was recruited by Sword and became a superpowered kind of heavy hitter for Sword, and their mission has been to track alien activity. Um, so real quick, Abigail Brand, voiced by Mary Elizabeth McGlynn. Ms. Marvel, voiced once again by Jennifer Hale. Henry Peter Gyrick, voiced by Jim Ward. We also get a return of Marvel, voiced by Roger Craig Smith. We are also introduced to Jan Rog, who's a major Marvel villain, and was played by Jude Law in the Captain Marvel movie. He's actually voiced by Fred Tatasciore, who voices the Hulk. And the big villain of the episode was Ronan the Accuser, voiced by Keith Sarsbaya. I'm gonna. It's like a. There's some Z's and J's in there that are in places I don't expect, so I can't. I apologize. I can't pronounce it quite correctly, but
Don't get accused.
ha! I've always loved Ronan the Accuser. General audiences know him from the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, played by
Yeah,
Luke.
yeah, he's the big
Um,
bad in Guardians. He has the blue skin and stuff, and I thought he looks closer to that than he does like his first appearance in Marvel Comics
I agree.
proper, which we'll be talking about later, where he
Yeah,
looks more humanoid. I do like his design in this show. Like I
I do
like the
too.
iron. Like I like that his suit is just metal,
Yeah,
or it's an alloy. It's more threatening. I think it's even more threatening than like the first Guardians film, where it's kind of like cloth,
I agree.
and like he comes off a little bit more menacing in this cartoon,
I agree.
and him landing with an army to take out the Earth is like, I don't know, the threat, the scale was, and the stakes were higher than in
I agree.
Guardians. I feel like I just want to
Yeah,
say.
perfect.
I don't know.
I agree, and I mean this episode was my jam. I love this. I loved how
There's a lot of Kree here. Kyle's a big fan of the Kree.
I'm a big fan. Yeah, love the Kree. Glad they're here.
Yeah.
I just love I love everything this sets up. I love the Kree Skrull War. I love Captain Marvel and Ms. Marvel. I love Ronan the Accuser. I love the Supreme Intelligence. I have a lot of nostalgia for all of those elements, and they are all featured very heavily here, very prominently here. I think it's also worth noting that this is the first time that Skrull Cap has encountered the Kree, and we get a lot more overt scrolliness from this Captain America in this episode.
Just coming into this, like, I do hope that the Captain America skull plot advances more. There's like a little bit of a tease of where it's going at the end,
Yeah,
that kind of mimics the Fantastic Four comic we'll be talking about. But I don't know. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it because it's like, here we are, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, episode 4, and he's still Skull Cap. I feel like at this point, like, you're robbing me of precious Captain America time. I know
we
I'm
are
not
missing
gonna
out
get
on a lot of Captain America.
yeah,
I agree.
I know I'm not gonna get more episodes with Cap, and I'm like, wow, you spent 4 episodes with Skull Cap? Okay, all
That's a
right.
good point because I mean, while Captain America technically is on screen, well, not technically, like in some fashion is on screen.
Limbo, the
The
real one.
technical truth is we have not had Captain America all season,
That's what I mean. Yeah,
and that does suck. Yeah, our only
it's
saving grace is he ends the episode by saying we need to move up the timetable. So
yeah, that's what I was talking about. The tease that's kind of like Fantastic Four, because like Fantastic Four ends with like, oh, the Kree invasion's coming. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, or I'll be back.
oh yeah, there were some parallels with those two. With and the scene in 42 where Marvel is like, I tried to convince the Kree that you weren't a threat and that they should just leave you alone, but now they know that you are a threat and they're probably going to come back
Yeah, they're definitely
harder and
gonna come.
worse than ever. Um, which is very similar to the ending of that Fantastic Four issue we'll talk about.
So something
Um,
to talk to you about too is the Damocles. So like, is it Kang's ship or is this just a sword ship named Damocles?
oh, I took it to be this. No, I took it. This is Kang's ship from
And they
season
repurposed
one.
it.
They took it over, and the reason the AI on the ship wasn't responding to them was because of Kang's security protocols.
Okay. Okay,
Um,
so that's the confirmation of
yeah,
that.
so that
Okay.
in the same kind of way where like how Apocalypse basically retrofits a celestial ship to kind of be his home base.
Yeah.
I see the same kind of principle with this, where they're taking Kang's base and just robbing it from him and using it for their own purposes, which is a very cool concept and honestly has legs to be its own sort of spin-off where you could end up having the other shoe drop on them taking Kang's ship and having that cause problems for them. Um, I can totally see a season three extrapolating from that and making more problems for them.
It's
But of course,
it's
that never happened.
it's an interesting idea rather than like, okay, Damocles is just gone now. It's like
Yeah.
it's way more interesting that like the past story had some kind of impact on where we're at in
Yeah.
Kree storyline and Sword. I always liked Sword. I was really happy Sword showed up. Actually,
Well, and how perfect that the Damocles base, shaped like a sword, is their headquarters. I mean,
yeah, that's what I
you
mean.
know,
It fits really well. Like
yeah,
the writing's good.
yeah. Did I say Carolyn Farah and Paul Giacopo wrote this, and then Boyd Kirkland directed it? I may have left that part out.
That's fine. You
Um,
said it now. Yeah, Boyd Corkerlin was in charge.
who worked as well on some DCAU stuff. I think he was involved in BTAS, like all that stuff. Um, so there's some interesting conflict with Marvel and Carol because Marvel is trying to kind of like help like with a peaceful surrender so that he can save them from the full force of the Kree Empire. Skrull Cap blunders into a fight because he's just so racist against Kree, being a Skrull. Um,
He's gonna help himself. He couldn't help throwing that shield at him.
couldn't help himself. I
Like
kept waiting for someone to be like, "Oh, you fight like a Skrull," but no
even
one ever said that.
even Iron Man said something like Iron Man's like, Cap, why?
Yeah, he was
Cap,
like,
what
"What
are
are
you
you
doing?
doing?"
What are you
Yeah,
doing, Cap? You just throwing your
you're.
shield at anybody now? Like, what are you doing?
Um, but then beyond after that point, most of this is just a big long fight. This does have a scene where Abigail reveals her superhuman powers to stop the Kree who have taken over Damocles, and then she also meets Sidran, and
Yeah,
Sidran is another character from Sword from those Astonishing X-Men issues, another Joss Whedon, John Cassidy character.
I like Sidran. He's got a cool
I do too.
head. He's got
Great
cool
design.
character design. Yeah. I like Sidran showing up too. That was a lot of fun.
Voiced by Troy Baker,
Oh
who's
wow.
done everything, and he's worked on
Yeah.
this show before.
Troy
Um,
Baker's done so much stuff. We've talked about him.
we
Like in one
have
of our
a
previous
lot.
episodes. Yeah,
Yeah, he's come up a few times. He's gotten a lot of work on this show.
yeah, he does.
Um, but this is pretty much just a big fight scene between Ronan and the Avengers. Not all the Avengers are here. It's just Cap, Hulk, Iron Man, and then at the end, Ms. Marvel is recruited. So this is the first time since Black Panther that we've gotten a new recruit. Is
Yeah,
this the first time since Black
it's been
Panther we've had a new recruit?
it's been a while since they brought somebody
That's
new
crazy.
onto the team. I like the
So
first
I'm
shot where Carol showed up though too. They like had a reveal where they only showed her legs and she's like floating
yeah,
there, and then they like cut to her flying. That
yeah,
was really cool.
yeah.
They built it up well. Like I like
I agree.
the whole tease the episode before where she's floating to this and you're right though. This whole episode was like just a giant action scene, but like that didn't bother me. I mean,
Oh,
so is the Fantastic Four Avengers fighting Doom episode. Like
true.
that's
No,
just straight action too. Like there's not a lot of plot.
No, it's the opposite of a complaint, though. They do action very well on this show. And like you said, I really thought Ronan was formidable. I thought he was a credible threat. Uh, I mean, if you have the Hulk and Iron Man there, and you're still holding your own, uh, you're doing pretty. I actually don't even know if the movies adequately portrayed that kind of power level that he demonstrated here. I feel like he showed a little more oomph behind his hits than
Did you
maybe
say
what
Ronan?
things could do. Yeah,
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, he's the proper power level. Yeah,
yeah.
he should be more threatening than he was in the. I don't know, in the MCU he's kind of like, I don't know.
He's a general.
Soft.
He's just a guy, right?
Soft, Kyle.
Yeah, I like a lovely pace.
We love
Uh,
James Gunn though here.
and I love James Gunn. We're a pro James Gunn
We are.
podcast.
We're yeah, like I am not at all. Don't construe this as me dunking on James Gunn because it's quite the opposite. I'm a big
No,
fan.
he only had so much room to tell the story he wanted to tell, and I think this Ronan just was a little more of what I kind of expect from a Ronan the Accuser. I actually think the first time I ever read Ronan the Accuser was in a Chris Claremont Fantastic Four comic. I think that was the first time I met him. It was
Oh,
in
that
like
was
the
totally the
90s.
first time I saw him too. I know what run you're talking about too. Wasn't it in the 2000s?
Salvador LaRocca art.
I have those issues. Yeah, I have a
Yeah,
lot of those actually.
I
Yeah.
don't think I have them anymore, but those were my first. We've talked about this on the show probably. Those were my first fantastic. It was the Heroes Return era,
Yeah.
um, when they came back from Image Comics.
Yeah, a lot of people complain about that run too.
The Chris Claremont run.
Yeah, I've heard
I think
more
they just want to
complaints.
complain about Claremont.
Yeah. I
That's what
I
it
don't
seems
know.
like.
The LaRocca covers are so good though.
They are good, and
Yeah,
it's
like
like
they're so
LaRocca
good.
before he started becoming. Sorry, I'm adjusting my.
No,
It's like LaRocca before he became like very like photo referency and sort of computer imaging referencing and stuff,
you're right. It
and
was a
his
little more
style
cartoony.
changed. A lot more cartoony, a lot more like Carlos Pacheco, who would come
Yeah,
on
like
that run
Carlos Corey.
afterwards. Um, anyway, all that to say, really liked this episode. Really liked Ronan. I'm in the bag for any Marvel, Ms. Marvel, anything. So I was kind of a clear mark for this particular episode.
What?
And there's more story to tell because obviously we were barreling toward a Kree Skrull conflict. And
Right. Yeah, yeah. That was teased by, like I said, Scroll Cap. One thing I wanted to ask you was, what'd you think of the Kang cameo?
oh, in Prison 42.
Yeah, where he just shows up briefly, he just kind of.
I think it's a good reminder of that he's there. I really do think if there was a season 3, I really do think there would be something with the Damocles ship and Kang being in 42.
Okay.
I feel like there's more story to tell there. Um, but it is kind of a blink and you'll miss a cameo though.
Yeah,
Um,
it's short. Yeah, it's like I
but
think
it's
it's
a good
cool.
reminder that he's there and establishing that kind of continuity.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm into it. You know I'm into it. All of my
Yeah,
favorite things are here. All I got Kang stuff. I got Kree stuff. I got Marvel, Captain America, even if he's a Skrull.
yeah. There's a lot of lore. And Cap has that like holographic shield, the see-through
Yes.
shield still.
And I need you had asked me about that. I
Those
think at the
glasses.
beginning of the season, or maybe even episode or two ago, and
Yeah.
I had said that it was from the Heroes Return era, and it is. I do think a version of the photon energy shield was from right before Heroes Reborn. I think Mark Waid and Ron
Oh.
Garney may have used it during the expatriate storyline, which we don't have to get into all that. But um, basically, I think a version of that first appeared in like the early 90s, and then in the late 90s, Wade brought it back. Wade and Ron Garney brought it back for Heroes Return Captain America.
I feel like
Um,
all the Cap lore is becoming mainstream. Like I just watched Thunderbolts and it has so much Cap, like
oh,
auxiliary Cap characters.
that whole movie is just like every Captain America character except Captain America.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Like
Yeah,
we get the without spoiling anything, like we get the continued adventures of Bucky, you know, like we're still
right.
like just okay, what's Bucky doing? Like, all
Yeah,
right, like get
yeah,
that thread.
yeah.
Um yeah, I really like this episode though. Like of course I liked all the ties in with Sword and the X-Men lore and stuff. That
I
was
knew you
cool.
would. I knew
And
you would.
I'm excited to see the Kree fight the Skrulls. Like I want to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's the big thing that hopefully they don't drag that out too much longer. I have the episode list on my notes somewhere. Obviously, we're going to be getting there. I don't remember
Right.
how soon though. Um, all right. Well, anything else you want to say about the episode itself before we jump to the comics section?
I think we touched on it on everything. You know, I don't know where I would rank this in terms of the other episodes. It's not one of
Yeah,
my favorites, but I think it's a solid introduction of Miss Marvel.
I agree. I think I like the 459 episode that this is a follow up to. I liked 459. I think better.
Hmm.
Um, but I still enjoyed this. 459, I just enjoyed kind of the B movie sci-fi vibe of that
Sure,
episode.
sure, it did
Um,
have that.
I like the giant man wasp dynamic. Like there wasn't a whole lot of interpersonal stuff in this episode outside of maybe the conflict between Carol and Marvel, which I liked, but wasn't quite as in depth as maybe some of the other stuff in the show.
They only have so
Um,
much time. I
and
mean,
that's
like, yeah,
exactly it.
it's 30 minutes. Like, you could obviously spend a whole comic series in the Kree world. You know what I
Oh,
mean? The space
yeah.
stuff, and you could spend a whole episode on just Miss Marvel. You know, they like
All
put
of
all this
these,
stuff together. Like, you could
yeah.
spend a really long time on all of it.
Carol could probably hold her own series. Marvel could hold his own series. I mean, they all held their own series in the comics. I mean, you
Mhm.
could even make an argument that Ronan the Accuser could hold his own series. I
A
mean,
limited
it,
series,
definitely a limited,
a
maybe
limited
definitely a
one.
one shot, at least a one shot.
There's a
Um,
story there.
but yeah, I think that these characters are all pretty expansive, big characters. I'm glad that we'll get more Carol moving forward now that she's a member.
She's an
I think
Avenger.
that's where she belongs. You know, she's one of the most important Avengers. She needs to be there. Um, but anyway, yeah. So if you're good with it, I'm good with it. Let's pause here and let's take a break. When we come
All right.
back, we'll talk comics.
Hello, welcome back to Issues with Cartoons, and we are now in our comic book section where we'll be discussing Fantastic Four 65 and Miss Marvel #1. Both great. Both
Both
great.
great. Honestly, I had a great time reading the homework for this episode.
They were
Um,
solid. These are both
yeah,
solid. And Fantastic Four 65 comes straight out of 64, where we reviewed this earlier, where the
yeah,
Fantastic Four fight the Kree Sentry, and then next issue they fight Ronan the Accuser. The Kree Sentry sends out a distress signal, and Ronan shows up.
yeah. Honestly, very in keeping with the episode we watched. Um, it's so funny. I have not read this issue until today, but I have seen several panels from this issue um, in various places.
Yeah.
Um, and I'll check them as we approach them. But I've told you about the Marvel special tribute issues that came out in between Onslaught and Heroes Reborn when they like memorialized the heroes that were lost. And there was
Hmm.
a Fantastic Four memorial issue. And in those memorial issues, they would like highlight different supporting characters, different issues, different villains. And when they talked about Ronan the Accuser as a villain, they pull a panel from it's the panel where he appears in the crowd, where he's transported on Earth and appears in the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's on page 7 on your digital reader on Marvel Unlimited, but they
Going
pulled
through
that
it.
panel. So I'm like, oh, I've seen that panel all my childhood. Uh, and then I can't wait to talk about the Reed and Sue scene because I've seen that panel a billion times.
Oh, were they like really fighting?
Well, and at the end, we'll just talk about it now. It's this one.
Okay.
Let me turn my camera around. Forgive me as I figure out. Maybe I can't turn my camera around. Here, it's this one.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I'm talking about. Where they're really
Yeah,
going at it a little
and
bit.
it's often used when we talk about Stan Lee's misogyny.
Oh
This
yeah,
panel
yeah,
here, because he says wives should be kissed and not heard, and the whole fight the whole argument they have is Reed is talking about the Supreme Intelligence visits them in a dream, all 4 of them simultaneously. And he has this existential moment where he's like, if there's a being who can do mind probes from across galaxies, we don't know what we're up against. And Sue's just like, I've had it. I'm so tired of all this. I want to be in supermarkets, not dealing with super
yeah, yeah.
villains. I want to be wearing fancy dresses, not these costumes. I want to be housekeeping, not fighting, uh, cosmic threats. And it's the most patriarchal bullshit I've ever
Yeah.
read. And Reed's like, "Oh, darling, blah blah blah. Women should be kissed, not heard." And I don't know. But
Yeah,
I've
listen,
seen
he
that
says, listen,
panel
my
brought up.
cake. He just pulls her close. He's like, I know you're going through this entire existential crisis, but you're my baby, and we got to keep being Fantastic Four. And then, like, the story just doesn't skip a beat and just moves forward. And yeah, we all read
Yeah,
early Fantastic Four for like the imagination of Jack Kirby, like on display. We do not read
yeah.
early Fantastic Four for Sue Storm's dialogue a lot of the time because it's rough.
No,
Like
you
some of
read it.
the
You
things,
kind of read it despite it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, and even revisiting it, like I have, where I've gone back and I've read like a lot of the early issues. Yeah, it's not a strong point. Like I'm never reading it, and I'm like, man, Sue was written really well here. Quite the opposite. But I think writers and artists at Marvel have done a great job of like rectifying that in recent
I agree.
runs. Like it's at least it's recognized as something bad. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, and
it's
I agree. I think too, it's probably one of the reasons why. Not one of the reasons. I shouldn't assume, but I think fortunately Sue has come out on the other side of this as one of the more powerful members, as someone who's kind
oh
of
yeah.
more of like the moral heart of the team and the moral center of the team. So others have built upon and improved upon the house of ideas that was built in as exhibited in this issue. But it's
Yes.
worth bringing it up because it's a major element that has stood the test of time when talking about this era of Fantastic Four. And this particular panel I'm referring to is very often brought up. So worth saying that it's from here. Um,
Yeah,
but we
yeah,
mentioned the Supreme Intelligence. This is the first appearance of the Kree. We've seen the Kree Sentry, so
yeah.
the Kree have been mentioned.
Hmm.
This is the first time we have seen the Supreme Intelligence, the first time we have seen Ronan the Accuser, and the first time we've seen like any member of the Kree in any kind of fashion or function. Now I don't think we see like the Spartan warrior looking soldiers that you would see in later like Captain Marvel issues or that were featured in this episode we watched. But you do get some Kree spaceships, you get some Kree technology, um, and yeah, worth noting that like a major element of Cosmic Marvel
Yeah, and
gets a lot of play here.
it's like a lot of early Marvel appearances. You know, Ronan looks different from panel to panel. Like we haven't figured out what he looks like yet. Um, and like you said, like the armor and everything like gets developed more later, the spaceships and the lore and stuff. But I still think it's a fun first appearance and stuff. You got a little
Oh,
bit
I
of
loved
like
it.
where Crystal is starting to date Johnny and stuff, and there's Lockjaw's there. You know, we're getting the beginnings of that relationship, and you know, Lockjaw is mentioned. It's just a lot of classic fun stuff going on here. Um,
Yeah, and there is like a lot of kind of like domestic stuff that happens kind of in the first half of the issue.
yeah,
With like you mentioned Crystal, you mentioned Lockjaw. Johnny is has a souped up hot rod that he takes Crystal on a date with. Reed is trying to make things up with Sue by taking her to the fanciest restaurant in the city. Um, Ben is getting ready for a date with Alicia when he gets a box from the Yancey Street Gang. There are a lot of like gags in this part of the comic, which made it feel a lot more like Stan Lee than perhaps Jack Kirby in the first half. I will say in the credits at the beginning, it is not written by Stan Lee and drawn by Jack Kirby. It just says conceived and created by the colossally celebrated combo Stan the Man Lee and Jack the King Kirby, which is my preferred way to credit them on anything they've done. Just say they did it together. Lennon and McCartney. like,
yeah, because like there's a lot of comics historians that are just like, oh well, Kirby, you know, technically wrote it because he drew a lot of it, and Stan was just editing, and he would drop in with Marvel method. And I feel like we discussed this to death, but you know,
yeah,
it's always going to be a thing.
it will be. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it's
a
have to
Human
bring it up.
Torch, Invisible Woman, and Mr. Fantastic. Uh, I say that joke a lot and it never lands. The there is a fun gag though where like all the members of the Fantastic Four vanish at once because Ronan is bringing them to uh, this negative zone that he's kind of created, um, and he basically says that they're going to be judged, much like in this episode that we watched, and he has the universal weapon. Is that what it's called? Yeah, the universal weapon.
Yeah, and it's like a little hammer. It's like Mjolnir shaped.
Yeah.
It's like a little electronic Mjolnir.
Actually, when I was a kid and I first saw Ronan in the Chris Claremont Salvador LaRocca issues, I actually thought it was like Thor's hammer. Like little kid me was like, "Oh, it's just like Thor's hammer."
That's what I thought reading this. I kept
I mean,
making that
yeah,
comparison. Yeah, I was
like
just like,
another magic hammer. Um,
right.
and he even says like our science appears like magic to you primitive people, and like, oh yeah, um, but like he pretty much like owns every one of them. Like he brings down Ben very easily. There's this very cool panel where he starts draining Johnny's flame away from him. Um,
I like
I
that.
think
I like
I
that
think that
battle.
was an
Yeah,
effective. I love this splash panel. Like that's a cool looking splash.
I love
It's a
that page.
good scale.
I almost sent this to you when I read it. I screen capped it because like I like it showing two things going on at once. You have like the top
Yes.
half is kind of like Ronan talking to Mr. Fantastic, but then there's a moment with the thing at the bottom. There's like a
Yeah.
little bit of yeah, and like I love that about it. Usually in comics, when you have like two things going on at once, it doesn't work. Like they
Right.
say that too. You should have like a single action per panel. This is one of the few instances where like two things are happening at the same time, and I think it works.
I think what you're referring to is kind of like the Eisner school of thought, where like a panel is
Sure.
a moment in time.
Yeah.
And then like Kirby, I feel like Kirby introduced chaos into a lot of his panels. I think that's why there's so much energy in a lot of his work. And it's that foreground, middle ground, background thing that you talk about all the time. In this case, Ben is in the foreground and is recovering from an attack, and then you have Ronan and Reed kind of traversing the mid ground and background. Um, I love this too. Anytime you get Kirby dots. Um, what do you think of
Yeah, the
this
Kirby.
Alicia Masters subplot?
Hold on, my reader's loading on the Alicia stuff. But yeah, Kirby's a master at foreground, middle ground, background. Like if you
Yeah,
look at any of his panels, like they all have all those levels of the picture plane are present. You know, oh, there's the Alicia stuff. Uh,
yeah. I mean, basically, a stranger comes up and says, "Hey, come with me," and she says, "Well, I feel compelled to," and then follows him into through the wall and then off to nowhere. I actually had to look ahead at the covers of the next couple issues because I couldn't think of what was about to happen, and then I remembered the Enclave and him, Adam Warlock, and all that stuff. Um, so I since remembered what all the business was, but yeah, you get some cool Kirby tech because the NYPD have their souped up Stark Tech military technology. Um,
yeah, they have their own super weapons.
I know. Something. The more things change, the more they stay the same. With cops and their military weapons, uh, but they're trying to break through this negative zone thing that Ronan has put up, and it's not working. And
Yeah, it's like a dome, basically.
yeah, basically, it's just a dome he put around them. We skip the part where Ronan basically changes their clothes into their superhero costumes for no explicable reason, which I just thought was funny. Um, And then, yeah, the Fantastic Four start fighting, fighting Ronan, and I just love the scale of how big Ronan is compared to these other heroes.
It's a
It's
great it's another great fight scene. It's pretty short. It's only
it
like
is,
compared to most Kirby fights, it's only like 3 or 4 pages. Like it's really
yeah,
not that long, but it's effective, and you know it reminds me a lot of the episode, except it really is just it's like Ronin without an army. You know, it's
yeah,
like it's pretty much mono and mono, like Fantastic Four versus um, Ronan. You know,
yeah,
Fantastic Four versus Ronan instead of Avengers versus Ronan. You
yeah.
know,
Again, the Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes just kind of cribbing a lot off of Fantastic Four stories, which is so funny. I love
I
I love the red and yellow here. Love that. It's very pop art. Um,
it
but yeah,
is.
ultimately, Ronan has basically is sent back into space automatically to go warn the Kree, and you get
Mhm.
that ominous speech at the end where Reed says like, "Hopefully, now that he knows that we're an intelligent race and a fighting race, they'll leave us alone. Uh, I pray that such knowledge will keep them from ever returning." And of course, we know it doesn't.
Reed knows better than that. Why did Reed even say that?
I
Like
know.
Reed
Yeah, for
knows
such
what's
a
going
genius, that
on.
was a dumb thing to say.
Yeah, like Doctor Doom's come back like 3 times now. Like what? Why does he think? Why does he think the Kree aren't gonna come?
Superheroes superheroes should just not ever say I hope they don't come back. They should just never say those words.
It is a
Um
trope at this point, though. Like, oh, I hope they don't break out of Arkham Asylum. Oh, you know, I hope they don't betray.
oh,
Oh, oh, bother.
oh, oh,
Oh,
yeah,
bother.
I mean, I don't know how soon after this we get more Kree. This is from 1967. I think
Can't remember.
Marvel first appeared in 68. Um, so I don't think long after this, we get more. Actually, I can pull it up for you. Um, I don't think long after this, Marvel debuts, and that may kind of be a direct sequel to. Yeah, actually, it was the same year. I was wrong. So this was 1967, and so was um Marvel Superheroes issue 12, which is the debut of Captain Marvel. So we get the Kree Sentry, then Ronin, and then Captain Marvel, all kind of in the same calendar year. Um, so I find that very interesting, actually. Um, but
Marvel superheroes is like not to be slept on, though. There's some really important Doom stories in that. I think Marvel
oh,
Superheroes 10 has like that Doctor Doom story where you get like Doctor Doom's backstory. It
I didn't
might
realize that.
it's you get like him as a boy in Latveria and stuff, like where they expand on, like that's the first time they expand on all that stuff. So I'm just saying, like if you're a Marvel fan, like Marvel superheroes is not to be slept on. You know, like there's important stories in that.
Hey, good plug, man. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, let's transition then, since we brought it up. Let's transition to Ms. Marvel #1.
Yeah.
Important to note that this is not the first appearance of Carol Danvers. She appeared in Marvel Superheroes issue 13, which is the second part of the Captain Marvel introduction. There it is. Um, Carol was a supporting cast member in Captain Marvel for the entire 18 issue run, I think, of his
And
main
they
series.
reference that
Uh,
in this.
they do.
It gets
And
brought up
we
quite a bit.
uh, and in issue 2 of this series, which we're not talking about, they go more in depth into kind of the history of Carol Danvers and how she became Ms. Marvel. Um, it's very similar to what we saw in the cartoon, where basically Marvel saves her from an explosion of alien technology, and his Kree genetics transfer into her and give her superpowers. Like that's basically the gist of it. Um, I actually owned this comic. I might still own this comic. I read it when I was a kid, and
Interesting.
yeah, and I think the motivation. I don't know if this is true, but so this is 1977.
Okay.
It's around the same time She-Hulk is being developed. I think it's around the same time Spider-Woman is being developed.
And that
There are
was
all
one of
these
the
like,
only books Stan Lee came back to write.
yeah,
Was She-Hulk
uh,
after a long hiatus? Like
and
it was like
I think part of it was motivated by trademark and wanting to secure trademarks for female versions of Marvel characters.
makes sense.
Um, I don't know for a fact that that is the reason. To me, it makes sense. I know that the reason Captain Marvel kept getting rebooted in the Marvel state in the Marvel publishing line was to maintain that Captain Marvel copyright, because you know as soon as that lapses, DC is going to try to take that name back, right? Like
So
that's the whole game with that. Um, all that to say, Ms. Marvel as a spinoff launches in 1977 by Jerry Conway and John Buscema. I don't know how long Jerry Conway is on the book. Chris Claremont does eventually take over. And
yeah,
Dave
later on.
Cockrum ends up redesigning Carol with that black, with the yellow lightning bolt and the red sash. That's a Dave Cockrum design. Here it's much more of like just a female version of the Jim Starlin Captain Marvel costume. Um, so
Something I did want to bring up too is an artist we haven't talked about yet is Marie Severin. Actually, is
yeah, she
listed
does
as the
colors on
artist
this.
on these,
Yeah.
and she's notable as the co-creator for Spider Woman and the Cat, which would later be known as Tigra. And Marie Severin has like a really long history as one of the women at Marvel that really made
Yes.
everything happen, like kind of like an Ann Nocenti, type, where she just has this really long history of Marvel that you can go read about.
I'm so glad you brought this up because I didn't do any research into it and I meant to. Uh, Absolutely worth bringing up Marie Severin. She was like an art director at Marvel for a
Yeah,
while. Like
that's what I mean. She's
she's a
really
big name. All these other Jerry Conway, major writer for Marvel, wrote
yeah.
Spider-Man famously. We've talked about John Buscema and Joe Sennett a lot.
These are all
Uh,
big names.
Yeah,
Like on this
but
comic,
to have
they
Marie
are.
Severin there is notable because she's the only freaking woman who worked on this book, and it just I don't know why they couldn't just find someone to. Marie should have done the art on this, honestly. I love John Buscema, but like, um, I think this they touted this, and we'll talk about this when we talk about kind of the plot. They touted this as like their feminist book, right? They touted this as kind of
Yeah,
like
they kind of were like, this is for
the
girls.
the female lib movement was happening in the 70s. This is kind of a response to that.
I could see
Um,
that.
and I think it's undercut a little bit by the fact that it's written and drawn by a bunch of men. Um, all that being said, though, I had a lot of fun revisiting this. Um, You can tell Jerry Conway wrote it because there's a ton of Spider-Man stuff in here. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so like one of the sad things revisiting this is you kind of realize that it's a Spider-Man issue with like a Ms. Marvel skin. And what I
Yeah.
mean by that is like
Yes.
they take all the tropes from Spider-Man, even the characters and the villains, and they just insert Carol Danvers, they insert Miss
Yeah.
Marvel. It's almost like when they did the Arrow show on the CW and
They
they
just
like
made it a Batman show.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And they
Yeah.
took like Raj Al Ghul and they had like the Arrow fighting Raj Al Ghul, and it got to the point where fans were like, "Hey, why does Green Arrow fight all of Batman villains?" Same thing here. Why is Miss Marvel fighting the Scorpion and working for J. Jonah Jameson? Is my question. Like,
Yeah.
why is
I
this
think
happening?
I think that's super valid. That's super valid.
Why
I'm
is this
pointing to the
happening?
cover. I want to point out to you some of the cover copies. So first of all, this female fights back, obviously trying to capture that female lib movement thing. Um, a bold new superhero in the senses stunning tradition of Spider-Man. Like they're using
Right.
Spider-Man as a selling point. They even put the Scorpion on the cover. And then the most mysterious woman warrior since Madame Medusa.
Since we
If you think our leading lady is Madame Medusa, that that's our point of reference. That's our point of reference is Medusa, who was introduced a decade and a half
why
before
didn't
this.
you use Sue? Why didn't
Sue
you
the Storm,
use
the
Jean
most
Grey?
powerful female superhero since the Invisible Girl. Anyway,
It's crazy. It's
not for me to
absolutely
say.
nuts. Some of the decisions in this comic are insane.
Or just play on the fact that this is 1977. The Phoenix Saga has happened. Just say like the most, like not since the Phoenix Force have we seen a more. I could write Stan Lee's cover copy. I'm
I
just saying.
I have a story about this comic. So like I also have this comic,
Do
but
you really?
I
That
didn't
makes
read
perfect
it.
sense, though.
I didn't read it when I was younger. Um, so there was a lot of speculation in the comic shop at the time of of movies that Marvel was gonna make. And one of these
Uh-huh.
was Kamala Khan had just come out, and the first edition of Kamala Khan, I don't know if it's still worth money, but it was like was going up in value considerably, and I had that entire run. I had the whole Kamala Khan. I read that as it came out, the entire Kamala Khan. So like I bought a lot of these Miss Marvels thinking they'd be worth money later. like
Have
like
you checked? I don't know. I
yeah,
haven't
like
checked.
I don't know if they are, but that was my gateway into it. Yeah, and then I
A
found out that
speculator.
Claremont had wrote some of it later, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. It's kind of like a Claremont run too. Like
That
it's cool.
that has me curious to read the rest of the. It's only 23 issues. It got canceled with issue 20. He had written 24 and had plans for 25, and it was canceled at 23. Um, so it does have me curious to read more, uh, but I probably
Yeah,
won't have the time for it. I've always loved Carol. Like I said, she was a member of the Busick Paras run that got me into comics. I read her Ms. Marvel book by Brian Reed. I read her Kelly Sue DeConnick Captain Marvel book. Um, I remember when she was Warbird in Avengers for forever. I've always liked her, but you're right. In here, she really is just kind of a Spider-Man clone, which
yeah,
is such a missed opportunity. And I think it's probably what Chris Claremont sought to correct. Because, and you know what, honestly, before picking Jerry Conway, I would have picked Chris Claremont because that dude has written more strong female characters than anyone in the 70s. Um, I mean, the X-Men was primarily a strong female cast for most of his run. Um, anyway, we're ragging on this too much without even talking about it.
yeah.
The the
I think though, like it kind of deserves it. It deserves to get ragged on a little bit because like the even the plot with the Scorpion is
the Scorpion
basically
is who you pick.
yeah the Scorpion storyline is his first appearance retold with Miss Marvel. It doesn't
Yeah.
add anything new to the canon. It doesn't add like any new motivations to Scorpion. He's just
No.
after Jameson, and instead of Peter being there, it's Miss Marvel. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I like I like what Marvel did with the character later on. Like I said, I like Kamala Khan. I think that's like the coolest version of the character. I like Captain Marvel. Like I a lot of people seem to love on the internet to complain about like Brie Larson and the Captain Marvel movie. I thought it was fine. Like come out of the
I
basement,
don't
dude.
get
Like
I don't get the
like it's
criticism.
fine. Like I don't
Who
know.
touched some grass? Yeah, a lot of
Who
people
touched
can.
grass,
I don't
bro?
know what they feel threatened by her. I don't know what it is.
I don't get it.
I don't want to speak for anybody. I just think it's silly. I thought she did great. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, as far as I mean, the plot to this is fine. I don't. If I were Monday morning quarterbacking, and if I were in the editor chair, I
Okay.
would have a woman write it and a woman draw it, and I would make the villain someone worthy of a cosmic level superhero like Captain Marvel and Ms. Marvel. Because you're saying this is the for all intents and purposes, unfortunately, this is another thing we can talk about, but it's the female version of Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel who fights Thanos on a regular basis. Captain Marvel who takes on Skrulls and the Kree Empire. Captain Marvel who fights, um, you know, cosmic level threats.
Yeah, so you're saying
And
that
I
would have been
think
a better first issue, like Carol fights somebody in space, or Carol. I think that's fair, Kyle. I mean, like,
just
why?
a random alien would have been better.
Yeah, why is she fighting Scorpion? Why is she trying to take Peter's job? I mean, like, heck,
It
she gets the
diminishes her.
salary job. She fights with Jameson over pay. Jameson's like, I'll give you 22, and she's like 30, and he's like, I'll give you
Right.
23, and she's like 30. And then he's just like,
Right.
oh, all right, I'll give you a salary job. I guess I won't hire Peter though. He's still freelance.
I think a woman would have written it differently. I do.
I
I
love
don't think
I love thinking about that though, Kyle. Like Peter can't even get a full time job there, but then like Carol just comes in and Jameson's like, oh, all right, I guess I'll give you that 30K spot.
she was
Oh,
going for an editor job, not a not a photographer job. It was a little different. Um, but I don't know.
Peter just can't get a job
I think if you have a common thug like Mac Gargan giving Carol Danvers a hard time, I think it makes Carol Danvers look like she's a street level character.
there. It does,
And
yeah.
at no point in any other iteration that has come out since then, I mean, in the comics and the movies and TV and animation, none of it portrays her like this. So I think for a first outing, I'm glad it exists. I'm glad that, I mean, John Buscema draws a very pretty Carol. He draws a very cool looking Scorpion.
Yeah,
I enjoyed the action. I enjoyed the rendering. I enjoyed looking at it.
it's drawn
I
well.
think,
Like, yeah, it's
I,
like
oh
the
yeah,
art is nothing to complain about. It's all in the
no.
plot. It's
I
like,
think
oh,
it's
story.
just, yeah, I think it's just, it benefits from hindsight, knowing what this character's capabilities and potential are. And like Mystique is a main villain, and it's not like she's a cosmic threat, but she's a main adversary of Carol's. But you got that espionage element tying into like her time in the Air Force and the and NASA and stuff, and like security and all that thing. Uh, I think there's more. I'm glad more interesting stuff has been done. It honestly makes me think about how like Batgirl's first villain was Killer Moth and Firebug or whatever,
Yeah,
or
Firefly.
Firefly.
Yeah.
Like, like in that same kind of way where it's like, why are all these women getting such duds for first villains? I think they're kind of set up almost to appear weaker by doing that, and then it becomes an uphill battle. Um, I also think, and I'm just going to say this, and no one on the internet has to agree with me. I just think if you're going to make a feminist character, making her a derivative of another character,
Yeah, not a good move. Yeah, not a good move at
starting on the
all.
back foot. Starting on the back foot. I'm glad she exists. I love Ms. Marvel. I'm glad that she graduated to Captain Marvel. Um,
Yeah.
but she's always kind of had this identity crisis of like she's constantly changing names. Like This like Captain Marvel was like her fifth name, fourth or fifth name. She's
It's more
constantly
like
changing jobs.
it's more
Like,
like
and
editorial doesn't know what to do with her than
that's what I was gonna say. It
yeah.
always comes across like they don't know what to do with her. I think once House of M came out, and
Mhm.
in Carol's House of M reality, she was Captain Marvel because it kind of, for listeners, House of M was where all the characters kind of their greatest wish came true, right? That's like the conceit of the reality of House of M. You know, Peter's a celebrity who's married to Gwen.
Oh yeah, Gwen
Wanda's
is
reunited with the
alive. I forgot
Maximoffs.
about that.
All that stuff. And with Carol, she was Captain Marvel. And that was the first time I had ever seen her referred to as Captain Marvel. And I think from then on, people are like, "Oh wait, that's Carol. She wants to be the best." And I think once they figured that out, then it became the character. And then Kelly Sue DeConnick finally made her Captain Marvel, and the rest is history. But before that, I mean, they just didn't know what to do. I don't think,
They give her
even
powers to
from the
Rogue.
beginning. Yeah, they just gave her powers to Rogue and just did nothing with her.
Honestly, that's what she was known for because like at the time,
And the Marcus stuff. So two
yeah, like
things
as a
that do
comic
not end well with Carol.
I was gonna say as a comic book fan, like before the MCU came along, nobody was searching out Miss Marvel. Like it's like all the fans that like say, "Oh, I read Guardians back in the day." No, you didn't. Like
I
Guardians
I didn't.
wasn't like a sought after title, and neither was Miss Marvel. And like I said, the most notable thing in the '90s of Carol Danvers was Rogue stealing her powers on the Brotherhood of Mutants. That was like,
Yeah,
and it was in
from
the
that.
Fox cartoon. And
I think that's where a lot of people met Carol. Yeah.
besides that, very forgettable character. Maybe they should have had her in space, Kyle. Maybe like if they had some kind of canon where she was in space fighting with Shield or something, like something cooler. Like maybe
I
we
think
could
the
talk about
Avengers
it more.
setup on the show, I think the show status quo they gave her was perfect.
Yeah,
Make
this
her a
episode
space
was
cop.
great.
Make her the security for, like, she started as the security as NASA security. That's how we meet her. She is
Hmm.
NASA security, and then making her security for the Earth makes perfect sense.
But
Make
making her,
her the first line of defense against alien threats. Done. Perfect.
yeah,
Amazing premise. I love that they took that direction with her. I think it suits the character, and I think it honestly, it's. I think that's kind of what they ended up landing on in the comics with her, and I think it makes perfect sense. Let Marvel be the protector of the universe. Let Carol be the protector of Earth. I think it does make perfect sense. Now you're being
yeah,
very
like
harsh on Ms. You're being very harsh on Ms. Marvel books and Guardians of the Galaxy books. I acknowledge they are B or C level
yeah,
titles
I
in
D
publishing.
Kyle, Kyle, they're not even C. They're like D list. Like
Ex-
nobody read them.
I read them.
They're
I read all of them when they came out.
50 cent bin fodder, like for
Listen,
sure.
coming from an X-Men fan who, like, you know, there are about 50 different X books, and not all of them can be A and B lists. I mean, we have to allow for some C and D level books to exist. Mid
X
level
Men
books are important.
Guardians, X Men Guardians.
I'm just saying, mid level books are important to have. I don't think that the line flourishes without mid level
We're
books.
getting away from my original point though, which is Miss Marvel doesn't need to be analog Peter Parker. Like we already have
Correct.
Peter Parker.
We agree. We
Yeah,
agree that.
yeah.
Uh, I think this felt a little bit like we need to get a book out.
It did. It did. It's like we need to secure this license for Miss Marvel
Yeah.
or whatever was
And we need
going
to
on.
capitalize on the women's lib movement, and we need to secure this trademark. Is what it
And
kind of reads like.
And Marvel's
Um,
always been about jumping onto trends, like
yeah, forever
historically.
from Martin Goodman,
Like,
always.
just whenever something's cool or popular, Marvel's there to make a buck off of it. Like, it
That's
doesn't
why
matter what it
Fantastic
is.
Four exists, brother.
Look,
That's why the Fantastic Four exists.
look
It's
at
because they
this.
were
Like,
hopping on the Justice League trend.
Dude, like, have you seen the Marvel Rivals like Jeff comic books where it's like Jeff the shark and he's just this cute talking shark character and
Yeah.
like I don't understand it myself, but I know it's trendy and cool right now, so they're pushing
Yeah,
it.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's like internet cats to me. It's just like something
right.
people like. You. I'm happy for all the Jeff fans. I think it's for a different demographic than where I am.
Yeah,
And that's fine. Not everything is supposed to cater to me. God knows that comics cater to me too much, and they need to cater to other people. I'm
right.
glad they're catering to other people. Jeff does not cater to me. Um, he's cute. He's a cute little
He's
shark.
cute. He's
I'm glad
cute.
he's there.
He's cute.
Um, so yeah, I hate coming down on this book so hard.
Yeah, I do
I'm
too. Like the art's good. It's not. There's things to like about it too.
There's things to like about it,
But
and
we're being critical of the story. We are. We're being like really critical of the story, and the story just kind
and
of
I
is
think
what it is.
knowing where Carol goes, and especially knowing that Claremont really liked writing her, that does give me some interest and curiosity to keep going with it. So I
Yeah,
think it's necessary to get to where we are headed because it sets the table, like in so much as that it establishes Carol as a superhero. But even in this book, they give her superpowers that she doesn't have. They give her a status quo she doesn't keep. She has that seventh sense, which is kind of like cosmic awareness, which is a Captain Marvel thing. But instead of making it cosmic awareness, they call it the seventh sense. I don't know what the sixth sense is supposed to be. Um, and then they give her this weird like dual identity thing where she blacks out and has like a severance moment
yeah. That
between
was the
her two
weirdest thing.
identities.
That's the weirdest thing. Like, yeah, she can't remember the time that she's Captain Marvel, and it's kind of like revealed at the end, isn't it? Like, it's like
Yeah, it's
that
supposed to be
last.
a big reveal.
Yeah, that last page is just like, oh, I'm Carol Danvers, and but I can't remember being Miss Marvel. You know, it's crazy. It's a crazy
Yeah,
twist.
and
So
I'd never hear that reference. That's another thing that I guess I'm curious about is how does that fall away? Because it does not continue.
yeah,
Although it is kind of crazy that even from her first days as a superhero, they were constantly messing with her psychosis. Whether they were giving her this severance established status quo with her dual identity, whether it's her being brainwashed and raped by Marcus, whether it's Rogue sapping away her identity and her powers. Like she's constantly having these identity crises. And I guess what I'm saying is I can understand why fans were so excited by Kelly Sue DeConnick's take because at
yeah,
last someone was finally treating her like a human being. Um, and other great writers have done well with her. I'm not just putting it all on
yeah. That's
Kelly
what I
Sue.
mean. Like in current, like if you're talking about like current Marvel canon, she's a great character, and that
Yeah,
they firmly know like who Captain Marvel is, her place in
right,
the universe. You know, she inspires Kamala Khan. You know,
right.
there's like a great history there now. But I'm just saying, this comic book is not that great history. This is just the
It
first,
doesn't
just
start
the
here.
first appearance.
Technically, it starts here.
And a lot of look, and I could be critical of all first appearances of all characters. I mean, like Death, Deadpool started out as a Deathstroke ripoff. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
not if you ask Rob Liefeld.
Well, he would say that, but it's like these characters aren't 100% there when they first appear.
Right.
Is what I'm
Oh, we
getting at.
mentioned that with Ronan. Ronan the Accuser, who we just
Right,
talked about.
right. Ronan
He
looks
was,
like a human.
yeah.
He doesn't even look alien. So
And if that's too low profile a character for you, the Thing in that same book, 55, 65 issues earlier, looked and acted completely different than what he would end up looking and acting
and
like.
look
Um,
at what you just sent me about Silver Surfer. I mean, like Silver Surfer
oh
was
man,
clearly an alien that became a
yeah.
human. And we just
I'm
cover this. There's an episode where we cover Silver Surfer's first appearance, but it is very obvious that Kirby meant Silver Surfer to be an alien before he became
I
human.
want to I want to do a I want to do a whole video about that whole
We almost
drama
should
because
do an
it's so
episode on
interesting.
that. Yeah, like that should be its own
Yeah.
episode, like a discussion of that.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right. Well, apologies to the creative team of Ms. Marvel #1. Uh, I have a soft spot of nostalgia for you, but it only can take you so far. Um, anything
yeah.
else you want to talk about with the comics this week, Carl, or you want to plug your stuff?
Yeah, no, I'm ready. I'm ready for the outro.
Okay. Tell the people who you are and what you do and where they can find what you do.
Okay, my name's Carl Lucas. I write this character called Shogun Bear. Perhaps you have seen him. He is a samurai polar bear. He fights ghosts and demons. Um, you can find my art at www.carllucasdraws.com. I also have fun stuff like this Superman riff I did where Superman fights Doomsday. It's just kind of like a fun little 20 pager about that. And yeah, join my mailing list. Go to www.carllucasdraws.com and join that. Okay. And then Kyle, what do you want to promote? I know you got a TikTok now.
I have TikTok for as long as TikTok is not under the I don't know. By the time this comes out, Rupert Murdoch might own it, so I might not have TikTok much longer. I have Cornelius. Oh, bless your heart. I have Cornelius Armstrong Adventures and Antics at Kofi.com/kylewindle. That's my circus strongman, my circus bear strongman, and his adventures with his circus friends.
Beautiful art.
I also have. Look at that. Look at that.
Back
That takes me
matter.
back.
Look at that back matter.
I gave you back matter, guys. I gave you back matter.
I
Buy my
can't.
books, I'll give you back
I'm learning from Kyle.
matter. Listen, man, all those process pages have to go somewhere.
That expression. Look at that. Look at these pages.
Oh man, you're just gassing me up. Look at that.
Beautiful. Look at that.
I'm very proud of that page. Very
Yeah,
proud
no,
of
that
that
came out
page.
great. I remember that.
I also have Thunder
Ooh.
Duck, which is my superhero duck comic. Oh yeah. Yeah, the
Okay, so Thunderduck.
yeah, oh, do you have Thunderduck there too? Wow. Man, you're better at promoting me than I am.
It's okay.
Thunderduck is when lightning quacks, it's Thunderduck. He's my electric superpowered duck.
Right, Quack's back.
And then I also have oh, look at that. That double page spread turned out nice.
Yeah.
And then I also have Mad Science Rejects, which is my mad science fiction misfit crew that is tracking down science experiments before one of them destroys the world. I'm currently in the process of designing and writing and drawing my first kind of long-form graphic novel. It's the Savage Tales of the Dinosaurs. It's Conan the Barbarian if it were dinosaurs. And yeah, look at that. Thank you, bud. Man.
Yeah, no problem, man.
You're a real hero this time.
That's right.
You're a real hero. You're really holding me up.
You gotta show off the goods.
If you're interested in Savage right. Let the people know what they could be buying. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, go to Kofi. Go to Kofi.
Kofi.com/kylewindle. You can get digital versions, pay what you want. And yeah. And Issues with Cartoons, we are on Bluesky, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, Spotify, YouTube. Rate and review us, follow along. And contact at IssuesWithCartoons.com with any questions.
Yeah,
and until next time, more issues to come.
Stay tuned.